So, question one for today. Why do you think retail media has become so hot of late? Why are more and more retailers embracing retail media?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason for that is the fact that first party data has now become even more important than it was in the past, where the third party data could somewhat get you some level of insight into the consumer behaviors. However, retail data is very deep, very accurate, and more important, it is accumulated over a long period of time. Therefore, segmentation and building true insights about people's habits is that much more accurate with the retail data. Why more and more brands are flocking to do this is because not only is the data accurate, but then it's very actionable, because you're now activating right there. You've got the insight and you immediately get into the action. And the last but not the least, and I can say this because I used to do this for the CPG on the other side, which is getting results, actually not just getting insights, not just activating, but linking that activation to real return on ad spends. Because you can actually watch where that customer is going. Is he going online? Is he going into the store? How much he's buying of that product, repeat, all that. So that complete end-to-end reporting is pretty brilliant. And I think everybody is recognizing that.
So, question two. What can retailers do to make their retail media platforms more appealing to ad buyers, advertisers? And in addition to there, are there certain ad types like video that excite advertisers and customers on equal measure?
Yeah. How we can make it easier? I think, like anything else, removing intermediaries is always going to help. Trying to coordinate with multiple people at the retail side, whether it's the inside people and then the activation people, and then doing the media planning part of it, it's a bit of a conundrum. So if the retail media platform can be automated, like a regular DSP that you can have, and a DMP, it's easier so that there's an open bidding that's happening. The manufacturer or the CPG can directly go in there, build their own insights, do the bidding against each other. No biases of one retailer versus, or rather one CPG brand over the other for a retailer. So it'll just make life easier. So anything that can be simplified from a process point of view, from a retail side, would be I would say, a bonus and a boon. The question you asked about the kind of creative that would work, I would just say that creative is not linked to a retail media platform. Ultimately, advertising and creative and a creative platform has to do with what is the most appealing message for the customer. So we just need to focus on that. It could be static, it could be a GIF, it could be a video, it doesn't matter. It just has to be the most relevant message. You can do the most superlative film, and if it's of no relevance to the consumer, you're just putting good money after that. So I would say strategically focus on the messaging, and then whichever is the right form in which you can deliver it, it'll work.
Question three. What are the biggest pitfalls retailers face when setting up and scaling up a retail media platform business? And as a retailer, do you find it difficult to work with multiple demand sources? And how do you handle that?
Um, so two very different questions there. The first one is, what are the issues that we feel or have in terms of scaling up? I think the big one is, first, demonstrating the benefit, right? Once there's a proof in the pudding, then more people are ready to hop onto the entire bandwagon. So we always start with what we say are low-hanging fruits, or our best partners who are willing to invest, who trust, and who have the inclination to try out. And once you do that, because whenever you're doing something new, there will be some failures, there'll be some successes. So we have to walk into it knowing that there would be some failures and therefore there'll be some tweaking required. So that's the first. I mean, you get that going. Once you've got some case studies there, then trying to get others to understand the implication of that, because always there's a barrier of a third agency in the middle, because every CPG has another agency, another media planning agency. So you have to work with multiple agencies to get everybody on board, get them onto the system. So just the enormity of getting that education across is one of the hurdles, right? Now, demand side, I guess it's the same answer for that aspect as well, right? When you're dealing with it. But ideally, once we have a platform which is pretty well attuned to some trade desk, that's not such a huge problem as much as it is educating on the supply side, getting the right the partners on board.
So, question 4, as retail media evolves, how can brands and retailers work together to create the best consumer experiences? And how can retailers engage brands of all spend levels, so large and small brands, a variety of budgets, to create more engagement that ultimately benefits retailers and consumers?
Yeah, I think from an experience point of view, the important thing for us to know is that the customer for everybody is the same, right? So it would actually be very beneficial if we can pool our resources from an insight and data perspective. The more, I would say, data touch points we have that are linking, the better it would be. For example, there's a depth of data that the CPG manufacturers have about the consumer. And there's a whole depth of, I would say, uh, habitual data that the retail has. The more we overlay, the sharper our targeting and the sharper our profiling would be for the consumer. So that is a huge place where we can collaborate. The second thing I would say is there has to be a bit of a seamlessness in the way the dollars are placed, because if you try and bucket the expense in, this is the amount of dollar I'm going to put in store media, and this is what I'm going to put in the online on platform, on off platform, that's where things get a little sticky, right? Ideally, it should be, here's the customer, and you said that correctly, it's the customer's experience that matters. Where would more dollars actually improve that experience? It should be a little bit more fluid. So looking at the entire, I would say, environment, and then deciding maybe the extra dollars are required on platform versus off platform. Maybe it's required more in-store experiences versus creating an online experience. And it could vary from brand to brand, right? So that's what I would say is one of the biggest ways in which we can do the experience creation together.
And so, question 5, our final question, where do you see the retail media space evolving? Going forward, what will the retail media landscape look like?
Um, I only see a positive here because you know the data that we're gathering is becoming bigger and better, especially with online shopping, that's trends that are happening. So from that perspective, and the fact that the third party cookie is crumbling pretty fast, there are lots of, I would say, restrictions that are now going to be placed, whether it's by the devices like Apple or any of the social media platforms, with guarding people against sharing their data. It'll become more and more important to actually be at a place where the data is truly clean, reliable, and most important, where you have permission from the customer to reach them. If there's one place a customer truly wants to interact with a brand, it is in the retail environment. Each one of us, it doesn't matter where we belong, which habit we have, you get a coupon of 10% off or $10 off at a retail, you'll use it, right? So any kind of thing, that last mile conversion is the most motivating. And today's environment where prices are going up, stocking is an issue, smaller pockets, unemployment, a whole lot of things. This is the environment where customers are truly looking for a benefit. So instead of wasting money by bombarding broadcast and spending it across all other media, it makes more sense to invest in retail media because you're reaching precisely the person with precisely the unit he wants, with precisely the offer he needs, which will lead to better conversions.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sold. Makes sense. Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you sharing your insights.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks.